Hi, welcome to Life Expressions. I'm your host, Shari Hineti Elon. We know that empowerment, especially women empowerment, is one of the most important things to improve the world. And there is not just one single empowerment, there has to be financial, spiritual, physical, and of course, emotional empowerment. And I am glad to say that I have a friend who is totally empowered, and she's my guest today. She's the founder and managing director of Brazzaville Beach Resort in Negros Occidental, Philippines. She's the vice president or second vice president of Bacolod City Sampaguita Lions Club and country president of Association of Business Women in Commerce and Industry of the Philippines. Of course, this is an international organization for women in business. She's happily married for 33 years and still going strong. She has two children. One is Colleen, who is now a doctor, and Alexon, who is a hotelier. Please welcome to Life Expressions my guest and friend, Phoebe David. Hi, welcome to Life Expressions, Phoebe.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Good morning from my end, from
Yeah.
the south, from the Himalayas. So, yeah, it's good to be here and good to see my friend again. And yes, I hope I can contribute something to this life expression and be sharing my story with everyone.
I'm so happy to have you. And finally, we're able to make it. Our time has finally matched. And for so many months, we have planned this. And finally, we're here together. And I'm so excited to hear your story. And of course, for you to share your story with my followers on Life Expressions. You are such an inspiring woman, a very successful one at that, not just in your career before and now in your family life. What is your secret?
Aha. Actually, I don't have really any particular secret to say. I guess when someone will ask me, what is happiness like? Well, for me, it's contentment in life and being happy of what I have, of who I am, and where I am right now.
You can.
So I guess it's the positive mindset that I nurture every day of my life. I think since early on, because I grew up with the words of the Lord, believing that I am the daughter of the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. So, and I am loved more than the lilies and the fields. So I guess that's the positive mindset that I know that there is something in me that I have to be proud of because I'm a unique person.
It is good that you acknowledge that and you always refer to God and to the Lord for the one guiding you and for leading you to have this beautiful life that you are now content with.
Yes, it is an absolute. It is an absolute. I think all my mental strength stems from my faith, my unwavering faith from the Lord. So I guess early on, I have it already in me without me knowing it. I
Mm.
used to go to Sunday school, and when I go home, I will be uh, jumping on the streets and singing like, with Christ and my vessel, I can smile at the storm, smile at the storm. So it was nothing that I understand actually what is the meaning of a storm in my young age, but I think it's developing me as a person. And through the years, I started to know what is it, and then in my life, in my daily life, whatever I encounter, I consider it a storm, and that I have Christ in me. So I guess I can stand still.
That is
Yeah.
beautiful.
So I don't waste time in sulking, or I don't waste that. I just move forward. I can stumble and still stand up again and again.
Yes. I remember in one of our coffee chats in Bacolod, you shared with me your favorite verse and your prayer that says from Proverbs 3, verse 5. Would you like to share that with our friends?
Oh yes, it's always my unwavering faith, and I grew up with that. That is, well, I will be mentioning it actually because it's a verse that it's like I have written it at the bottom of my heart. So no, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thy own understanding in all thy ways. So that I've been repeating the words, in all thy ways,
Yeah.
acknowledge him and he will direct thy path. So I
Yes.
guess I always have that in me. And then saying that, take the lead, Lord. I'm
Yeah.
following you. So
Yeah.
it's always like that. If something goes wrong, there is always a verse that counteract.
Mm-hmm.
Things happen for a reason. It's
Yeah.
not meant for me. Don't be sad. The Lord knows what's better for you. And
Mm-hmm.
I have these comforting words comforting me all the time. So I don't really have to time to be stressed, to be in
Mm-hmm.
trouble or whatever. I
Yeah.
mean, I can face challenges that are so different and not different from other people.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I have that mental strength that I can really guarantee that I've been using it since
Yeah.
I was young without me knowing it.
Yeah.
But it has been there.
Yeah.
And I guess I realized it as I grow older and, giving time to have a self-awareness. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the time you will realize, oh, I've been doing this. And
Yeah.
that's why. That's the reason. So, I
Exactly.
mean, yeah.
Tell us your life story, Phoebe. Like you have said that you're strong, you have that mental strength, and even if you have encountered something difficult, you have stumbled, but you always rise and believe that you will have and achieve the life that you want and that is meant for you. Tell us your life story.
Well, my story has lots of stages. So maybe I'll just go through in a stage of, decades. And then I guess I believe God has put dreams in my heart and
Mm.
write a destiny over my life.
Yes.
So when I was a little girl, my parents separated, right? So I don't have a mother for like 5 or 7 years, something. So I think I was just with my mom when I was 4 years old. I think that's the earliest time that I remember.
Yes.
So without understanding what life is, I just went with my mom. And then when I missed my dad, I went with my dad. So I live most with my dad because my dad was my favorite person in the world. He was always telling me Bible verses and inspiring me with a lot of things. So I think I prefer to stay with him. And I grew up, attending the Bible studies. So somehow it helps me there. And then when my mom came back, um, well, I was already, what, 9 years old when she came back, and they get back together.
Yes.
So before that, it has been also life changing because I don't want to go to school. When you get valid that I don't have a mother,
Yes.
so you have this feeling, but you don't really know how to handle this kind of thing, right? At 8 years old, you don't know how to handle this. So what I did, I just stay in the house. I don't want to go to school anymore. I told my dad, no, I'm staying here. I just read my book here, and I
Yeah.
don't want to go to school. And then
Mhm.
my dad went to the school and said that you have to go, and I have to go because education is the only thing I can leave you when no one can take it away from you. So
Yes.
then I tried to, yeah, yeah. So I have to go anyway. So I went and then move on,
Mhm.
and then to fast forward. So just tried to live as a normal child until I was high school. I was an honor student. I was one of the outstanding students in the elementary, and I graduated salutatorian in high school, out of 65 students. So, and then I went to the university all alone by myself. That was the time when chaos in Philippines during it's not like a chaos, it was still part of a post-martial law
Mhm.
time. So
Yeah.
it's not very peaceful in my island. So I was in Cebu. I stayed with a sister, the religious of Virgin Mary. So I
Yes.
was there all alone and I cannot go out. I have a curfew. My dad has a contract that I cannot go out of the dorm if it's not school activities. I
Mhm.
can't even go to the beach if it's not signed by my teacher. So I
Yes.
was there enjoying the university life, knowing a new place, but I don't know the language. So,
Mhm.
sometimes people just joke when you're saying that, oh, so you are from Negros and all that. You know how they say how when you are an Ilonggo, ginapala, ginapiko,
Yeah.
ang kwarta sa inyo, no? So I will just laugh at it and will say, well, that's what you heard. You just don't know that ginabuldos ang utang. So I will just have a good laugh at it. So
Yes.
in short, it's kind of like, I get to these unfamiliar places and then met other people,
Mm.
I was living with students from other provinces with different languages.
Yeah.
and somehow they eat different foods.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm already exposed to this kind of like, oh, okay. And then I get to visit some of them during semestral break because I cannot go home to Negros Island
Yeah.
because it was still not very safe, especially in Hinubaan. You
Yeah.
know, there always have some rebels, local rebels during the time. So for a younger like me, my dad did not want me to go back that time. It's not just safe for me. So
Yeah.
being away from my family, you know, it's emotional instability that gets in. But
Mm-hmm.
then again, I was there, and even in that's a Catholic dormitory. So every morning we are being called to attend the mass.
Yeah.
But then I go to my church as well at the same time. So I continue building myself through
Yeah.
that, and I get through my university years. Very nice experience with all my classmates, and I learned to speak the language of Cebuano,
Yeah.
and I learned to get by with all these students from other provinces, Cagayan de Oro, Davao, Manila, and all that. So it was fun. It was really nice, and I mean, a bit. The only thing I think I remember that I cried is when I missed my dad and I cannot go home. I
Yeah.
think that's the only one. And that one experience that really put my life into, I don't know, like I wanted to be in a cocoon is like when I went home to Hinubaan without telling my dad.
Yeah.
And then one evening, some people came, and my
Mm-hmm.
dad has to hide me under the bed,
Yeah.
because
Why
it's
did he
not
hide?
safe for me.
Oh,
I was 16 years old, 16
yeah.
going 17.
Yeah.
And my dad said, "You stay there because you cannot be seen. You cannot be seen. They might take me away from, you know, these people.
Yeah.
They call it NPA
Oh,
in
yes.
our during the time." So
Yeah.
anyway, I was there, but they did not do anything. They just came, asked some foods, asked some money, blah blah blah. And then but I was hiding. I was seeing them with arms, and I saw my dad, and I said, "Oh my God, what will I'm happening?" And I'm urinating, with my nervousness under the
Yeah.
bed, and I don't know
Yeah.
what I have to do.
Yeah.
And anyway, that was really 17 years old. That was not a very nice experience, right? So
Yes.
anyway, the next morning my dad said, "You have to go," and he has to put me in a sack, you know in a
Oh,
sack with a hole
yeah.
that I can grab.
Yeah. So you can
And
see.
then we have Willie's jeep, and I have to be hidden with the other socks, which are with bananas and all that. So I
Yeah.
will be one of those packages.
Yes.
So he has to drive. Yeah, he had to drive to Hinubaan and drop me to Bacolod, and then I took the plane back to Cebu. So it was an experience. And he said, "Don't go home, and I don't tell you to come home."
Yeah. It was very
So I said,
dangerous at that time then.
yeah, it was very dangerous at the time. So that was one experience that, I was really overwhelmed with fear. I
Yeah.
think the fear that I will lose my parents, and
Yeah.
the fear that I will be all alone on my own. But then, I guess, with me unknowingly, with my registered, knowledge that it will not happen when it was not meant to be. So
Yes.
I was just there. So I stayed with the sister, and I opened up with them, and they were comforting me. And then
Yeah.
there I was under supervision because I think I was emotionally affected as well at the same
Yeah.
time. Well,
Yeah.
I still can if I remember it actually.
Yeah.
But anyway, I stayed in Cebu until I graduated, and that was nice, and I was safe, and I started to work there as well,
Mhm.
something like that. And I got my boyfriend who committed suicide but
Oh,
alive. So I guess,
oh,
all these
it was
things.
an attempted suicide. Yes.
So anyway, so I move on, and then until I was able to work in one of the French NGO
Yeah.
in Bacolod City, in my birth city. So
Yes.
I was working with a project that was financed by the European Union that time. It was European Economic Community that time.
Okay.
So then I worked there, and then a year after, someone came,
Mhm.
the other head of mission in the same project,
Mhm.
and then he became my friend. He became my tennis mate, my partner in hiking,
Mhm.
beach partner, and something like that. And then, in short, he became my suitor, and I became a fiancée, and I become his wife. So that's just to make the story short. I shared some of it with you. You
Yes.
remember?
That
And then,
beautiful.
so yeah, it's a fast forward story actually. So from all that prior to that.
Yeah.
The experience was really not that easy, although, well, I survived it, I can say that, and I graduated really
Yeah.
in a very successful manner without so much um, regrets to say that I was away from my parents.
Yeah.
So then I moved, and then so I'm already, my first country was to go out abroad, was
Mhm.
to go to France for my honeymoon.
Okay.
So when I was a little girl, my dad used to receive Reader's Digest and, you know, uh, wedding dresses, some magazines, Time magazine from my aunt from the USA. So I
Yes.
was reading that magazine actually. So I
Mhm.
was wondering, how people live in the world, outside the world. So that time I have also already awareness of how they live. I was reading Barbara Cartland. I was reading Sidney Sheldon because my dad has lots of book collections in the house. So he read a lot. So I guess I took it from him. So I was reading and wondering like, oh, how would it feel to meet this kind of people, the eccentric people, and to go to these exotic places,
Yeah.
experience this kind. So when I was in Paris,
Mhm.
when I saw Eiffel Tower, you can imagine me and the splendor of it, in the grandeur of it. It was
Yeah.
so huge change for me, like, like a big leap to be there and experience a different kind of place away from Philippines.
Yeah.
You can imagine I tasted a different kind of foods. I hear different languages and there, and then visiting places, you can hear German
Yeah.
language and you can hear other languages, Spanish and all that. But
Yeah.
well, prior to our trip to Paris, I already learned French with
Oh,
not Tita Myrna, another Myrna Servando, but another one, not the Tita
yeah.
Myrna that we met. So
Yes.
I already learned French before I went to Paris. I
Mhm.
don't know how to speak it, but I can catch some words,
Yes.
something like that. So
So
I just
now you
continue
can
to learn.
speak French.
Yeah, I speak French. Yeah, fluently, I can say. And then
Yeah.
I can read books in French as well.
Yeah.
But it has to be um, how do you call this? Converted books. That means,
Mm.
from French, but, translated by a Canadian who speaks French, for example. So
Okay.
something like that. So it's more understandable for me because the very classic French book is
Mm.
still hard for me to understand because they use a lot of imperfection tense. So,
Yes.
the aura, the one ending in A, so it's
Yeah.
different.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
anyway, after that, so I got pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
So that was after 6 months actually. And then I said, well, I'm so happy to be a mom soon.
Mm-hmm.
And I have that verse again that I've been using when I was also trying to decide if this will be my husband or not. The Mark 11, 24, 25. I think I shared it with you sometime also when we have one of our chats.
Yes.
Like, whatsoever you ask and you pray and you believe that you will have it, you shall have it.
Yes.
So something like I did that when I asked for my husband, if he's really the one.
Maybe for the information of our followers, your husband is a diplomat, or what is the work of Stefan?
Stefan works with the European Union.
Yes.
He is in charge of all the projects in the country where he is working. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he is a diplomat. Well, he is an attaché, the diplomatic rank that he is having. So, like here in Nepal, he is also in charge, heading all the projects, the humanitarian projects, all the projects. So when we were in Cairo and Bangladesh, all that. So he's heading all these projects. He's the one handling the projects financed by the European Union. It's a funding agency. EU is a funding agency. And Stefan is the one making the projects proposal for EU to fund. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the one he's heading it for the implementation as well. Well, it depends if it will be given to the projects will be given to UNDP or to other agencies, implementation agencies like UN, they are implementing agencies, something
Okay.
like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm
so
sorry for
we are
cutting you.
being thrown away in any country. So
Yes.
when I was having my first pregnancy, I asked the Lord for a baby girl.
Yeah.
I said, your verse says, whatsoever I ask, and I believe that I will have it, I will have it. But then whatever will be the gender of this child, if it's a girl or a boy, I will be very happy. But you said, if I delight thyself in the Lord, and I will give you the desires of your heart. So, Lord, I want a girl for my first child. And I have my girl for my first child. So
A
uh,
very beautiful girl at that.
it's a belief that I have, and I open up to the Lord. I want a baby girl for my first child. So
Mhm.
we went to our first expatriated life in Malawi and the south of Africa, in
Mhm.
Lilongwe. And I have my daughter 4 months old. I have to bring her there,
Wow.
4 months old.
Yeah.
So it's a big change for me, from Philippines to France and then gonna live in Africa.
Yeah.
But contrary to my expectations, because you know what is my concept of Africa is an arid land, with no greens at all and
Mhm.
everything. We don't have that enough geographical knowledge in Philippines about Africa. A
Yeah.
few bits and pieces that we can see. We don't have internet before. We have TV, but we cannot see a lot what is Africa. Unlike now where you just go to Google and you know where is Africa and
Mhm.
what is it. So in short, we have a very limited knowledge what
Correct.
is Africa. So
Yeah.
I was there it's in the south of Africa and it's all green. And the people were so friendly. It's so warm. I arrived in my house. It's a huge house with 4 bedrooms. We have a guard. We have my nanny already there, and we have a butler. We have a
Yeah.
cook. So I said, "Oh my God, this is my expatriated, my first experience." So I was expecting the worst actually, but it
Mhm.
was not. So all was like the transition was smooth, but it was like getting to know people, fitting in yourself with a new language there.
Yeah.
It's a bit of, well, I can, it's some of the challenges actually
Yeah.
that I was facing as well.
Yeah.
So
How
anyway,
long
I
did you
can
stay in
hurdle that.
Africa?
Pardon?
How long did you stay in Africa?
We stayed 2 years in Africa with my daughter alone. So it was a very challenging first experience, but
Yeah.
I get by because my dad used to tell me as well that when you are in Rome, do like the Romans do. So when
Yes.
I was Africa, he reminded me that just continue to be kind and to be gentle with these people. You don't know them, but being kind, it will help you to get by.
Yes.
So I treat them as a family. Really embracing them regardless of different in colors.
Mhm.
So they love me. My gardener, I remember, he will put his life for us, watching our house when we were not there. He
Yeah.
will take the bullets for us. So
Wow.
that's what I learned. And slowly, all through after Malawi, 2 years,
Mhm.
we moved. I got pregnant for my second child.
Mhm.
And again, I went through the same process of being happy to be a mother. It will be a gift from the Lord. But if the Lord would ask me what I really want, I want a baby boy for the second child. And I got my baby boy for the second child. So then we moved to Chad in Jamena. Now, this is, I think, Western Africa,
Yes.
Southwestern or Central Africa somewhere. It's
Yes.
very hot there. And my son was also 4 months old when we went there,
Mhm.
but it's a different story.
Yeah.
Again, these are one of the challenges again that I survived, fitting in, finding a place to live,
Mhm.
finding a hospital to go whenever we need.
Yeah.
And that place was in a bit of, it's not a civil war, but it was not very peaceful. I
Mhm.
have a evacuation bag in case I need to go,
Yes.
with a milk, with a Gerber, with a blanket, one pants for me, with more for the children,
Yeah.
in case there is evacuation. So we
Yeah.
were there. We have a nice house. Again, we have a guard. We are always well taken care of. You know how
Yeah.
expats are well taken care of. We are put
Yeah.
in a safer place. Actually, we have
Yeah.
all these protocols to go over. So if there's a siren, we have a radio that
Mhm.
we can hear, and then we have a code.
Mhm.
If a code tells us to go to the French embassy or to go to the European embassy,
Yeah.
something like that. So there was like an evacuation drill for us to know. With babies, Colleen was 3 years old and Alex was 4 months old.
Yeah.
And I remember the very first time Alex saw his nanny,
Yeah.
his nanny Nora, she was all black and all that. First,
Yeah.
Alec reacted intensely. So he did not want to come near to Nora. And
Yeah.
every day I let Nora play with him, and until a month
Yeah.
that he started to smile.
Mm.
And finally he gets to like the nanny. So
Yeah.
then we have the nanny there, and the same with Colleen.
Mm.
She has her nanny also in Malawi.
Mm.
So, but the worst part is Alex was always sick with pulmonary problem
Oh,
because of the sunstorm. We
yeah.
cannot take lots of dust,
Yeah.
tiny dust. You
Yes.
know, it goes up to half centimeter thick.
Oh,
You know, so our house is really close, and I have to secure the children when we go out. I have to wrap them only with their eyes can be seen,
yeah.
go run in the car when we go outside to bring them, and
Yeah.
just take care of them. But then I guess after 8 months, Alex really has, always runny nose, bronchitis. So I
Yeah.
have to take him back to Paris. So went back to Paris, and I went to Philippines
Yeah.
after a month in Paris. When I was in Philippines, I told Stefan, I don't think I can go back with the children there. It's
Yeah.
not very safe. We have this evacuation bag. I guess the anxiety,
Yeah.
the fear, if ever the evacuation will happen, what will I do with the children? We have two kids, and security wise, we are not very safe. So again, there is something to do with the priority. So topmost priority is our safety. So I
Yes.
stayed in Philippines, and luckily Stefan was offered a job in Philippines.
Mhm.
And so he joined us without me needing to go back to Jamena. So
Yes.
we stayed only in Jamena for 8 months. It
Oh.
was still not bad because I met some really wonderful friends there.
Mhm.
So I met friends from from Mauritius, I get to know other dishes
Yeah.
like from Mauritius, from other countries. So it was a nice experience as well, regardless of the hardest part of
Yeah.
the threat of evacuation and the threat of sickness for the children. We have to take malaria pills, same in Malawi. So
Yeah.
these are the inconveniences that we have to do. I have to put it in the mashed potatoes for Colleen to be able to take
So,
it. It doesn't taste good. Nevakin doesn't taste good, but
yeah.
we're obliged to take, and we have vaccination, yellow fever, and
Mm.
all this kind of inconvenience that we have to go. But then during the time, our priority was to be together as a family.
Yeah.
I believe that Stefan will not bring us in a place that will endanger us. He
Yeah.
knows what is best for us. So
Yeah.
anyway, when I moved to Philippines, and then he got the job in Philippines. So we got a 5 years contract in Philippines.
Oh,
So I was so happy, of course, and you can imagine how the transition was for us. It was so easy and smooth.
mhm.
And but then he was assigned in Catanduanes, so I have to be in Bacolod actually. So I
Oh.
was in Bacolod with the children. The
Mhm.
children went to school in Lecol, Alexan's first school, and
Yeah.
then Colleen also was in Saint Scholastica
Mhm.
until I think when Alex was in preparatory classes, he went together with Colleen, so it
Yeah.
becomes um, one drop time
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
So then in 1996, while Stefan was in Philippines, I was also an active woman, but just a mother. I
Mhm.
was not working, and
Mhm.
I wanted really to make the most of what I have equipped myself. I have a higher education and all that, and I said it's a pity that I'm not making use of it. So
Yeah.
I opened my first business in the Philippines.
And
I opened the first cyber cafe in Bacolod. It
uh,
was registered in DTI. I was the first one.
yeah.
So I had it in Mayfair Plaza,
Mhm.
Lucafnet. That was the first cyber cafe in Bacolod. I opened it in 1996 December.
Yes.
So I was so happy having that to have explored my first business,
Yeah.
regardless of a lot of preparations and
Mhm.
challenges that go with it. I
Yeah.
was able to open it, and
Yeah.
it was good. But then time comes for Stefan to go again.
Mhm.
The contract was finished 5 years in Philippines. He
Yeah.
needs to go.
Yeah.
But this time I said, can I stay?
Mhm.
I have to stay. I don't want to drag again the children to another place, to
Yeah.
another dangerous place, and go through, the anxiety of expatriated life,
Yeah.
all this because they were
Where was
so
he
young and all that.
assigned? Where did he
So that
need
was
to
in
go?
1998,
Yes.
after like 2 years, because we were 3 years in Catanduanes. And then
Mm.
after I moved to Bacolod for the children, because also it was not that nice for us to stay in Catanduanes, regardless of we have a nice house, a nice place, and everything. But when typhoon season comes, it's
Yeah.
not very safe as well. So I have to move them to Bacolod. So it's all this decision making to be done, making choices, and what are the priorities, something like that. So I'm exposed to making decisions like this
Yeah.
already. We
Mhm.
have to make our priorities which one
Yeah.
is better. So
Yeah.
during the time Stefan has to go, and he went to Guinea Equatorial. And I said, oh my God, another African country, but I think it's more in the Central Africa. It's in an island in Malabo,
Mm-hmm.
near Cameroon. So I
Mm-hmm.
said, what should I do? So Stefan went there 6 months after. Well, he is a family man and he loves to be with us. He
Yeah.
wants us to be with him. That's why he never accepted works in Iraq, Pakistan,
Yeah.
Afghanistan, which
Yeah.
are NFA. NFA is non-family station. NFS, I mean. So
Yeah.
that means he doesn't want to go to these places. When he
Yeah.
cannot bring his family, he would not go. So
Okay.
he went to Malabo and he can bring his family. We can be
Yeah.
okay there.
Yeah.
So he asked me. So I was already happy with my Lucafnet Cyber Cafe.
Mm-hmm.
And I have also my Brazzaville Beach
Yeah.
Resort, which
Yeah.
was not a resort that time. It was just a pension house. It has
Mm.
2 bedrooms.
Yeah.
So I said, what should I do? So it was just a test and trial, if I want to do also the beach resort or not. So while having my cyber cafe, Stefan was not there. I was alone with the children. I was the tutor. I was the driver. I promised my husband, I will not take a driver. I will drive the kids to the school myself.
Yeah.
I will tutor them myself, even if I have a business. So I
Yeah.
have 2 businesses to manage, and
Mm-hmm.
I have children to take care of without a husband in Bacolod City. We live in Bata
Yeah.
subdivision during that. So I
Yes.
was able to do it until the day Stefan said, your business or to be with me. Ah ha ha. Tough decision to do.
Yeah.
What should I do? I really love managing my cyber cafe in my Fair Plaza, but then what is my priority? So then I have finally decided to give up my cyber cafe, and I told Stefan, I can give up Lukafnet, but not the resort.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can keep it, I can join you.
Yeah.
So that was the deal. So I sold my cyber cafe and joined Stefan in Guinea Equatorial.
Yeah.
So I was there with him in that island.
Yeah.
We have a house, we had with a huge garden, lots of avocado trees. We have a cook, we have a gardener, and all the stuff in the house. And we are in a very safe place, except that again, we have to go through yellow fever vaccination, malaria pills,
Yeah.
and Alex that time was already 5 years old and Colleen was already 8 years old. So,
Yes.
I took them there, and they went to the French school.
Mm-hmm.
But, they are English speaking kids. They
Yeah.
speak French with their dad, they speak English with me.
Mm-hmm.
And they did not like the teacher, the English teacher, because their English is not understandable for them.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, I have to teach the kids to be patient, to just go over it
Yeah.
for a while and then see. And then after 8 months, it's not really good. They are not happy.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have this excitement to go to school. They're not happy with the classmates. Not easy for them as well. So it's a huge adjustment to the children. Can
Yeah.
you imagine that again, moving again to another place from? So I went back to France. I
Yeah.
told Stefan,
Mm-hmm.
you have to tell me if I can go to France or I take the children to the Philippines back again.
Yeah.
So again, tough decision to be done. And so he said that, okay, you go back to France. And then I stay with my mother-in-law. I said, no, I want to have my own place. I have my own place or I go back to Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
So I have my own place. And then I was with the kids alone.
Mm-hmm.
So I have my small apartment. I said, regardless of a 2 bedroom apartment, I'm okay. I
Yeah.
want to manage the kids on my own. I have to be
Yeah.
on my own.
Correct.
Explore your city, the city of their dad, the country of their dad, a
Mm-hmm.
new environment again for them
Yeah.
alone,
Yeah.
where I can discipline them on my own. So I was there
And you were
6 months.
independent, right? You have your
I
freedom,
was alone with my
independence.
children, and the director of the school was so happy.
Mm-hmm.
Phoebe, I'm so proud of Gulin. I said, why? In the library, she is the only one who reads the book and return it back where she got it. And I was saying, like, oh, really? I don't even notice it. I said, they are used to the house. They have a training. They
Yeah.
can play with their toys. They can make it topsy-turvy, whatever they want on the number of hours that I gave them to play.
Yeah.
But after they are done playing, they have to put it back and arrange it. And I
Yeah.
did not know they do the same in the school. So I have my kids. I train them in the morning. I drop them to school alone. I
Mm-hmm.
pick them up in the afternoon. They eat in the canteen twice a week. I have them in the house on a Wednesday.
Mhm.
I took them with their cousin, or I took their cousin at home. So I was alone for 6 months
Yeah.
doing this. And at the same time, I hold my own challenges. It's not easy to immerse
Yeah.
in that country. My
Yeah.
French that time was not yet very fluent,
Mhm.
and I met lots of people that can volley me. In the expatriated life, it's easier to get friends
Yeah.
because everyone is expatriated. Everybody needs a friend. When
Yeah.
you go to a school to pick up your kids, most of the parents are expatriated. Most
Yeah.
of them needs a friend as well.
Yeah.
So when you get to in contact with them, it's easier, it's
Yeah.
smoother. But
Yes.
when I was in France, everybody has established life.
Yes.
I don't speak the language. I look different. And when you talk to them, they have established life. I don't have established life in the sense that I need friends, new friends
Yeah.
there, new parents. So it's a lot of efforts for me.
Mhm.
That means I have to initiate to be the one to invite them for lunch, offer
Yeah.
them, I can take your kids, they can have lunch, play with my kids, and
Mhm.
sleep over. I have to be make that efforts until the day that it becomes a give and take.
Yeah.
You see, so this is the initiative I have to take. It has to start from me.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. I think you cannot conquer them in their established life, established routines by
Yes.
not making an effort. So I have to conquer it. And
Yes.
that, I guess, it's in my personality. I like to help and to accommodate if I can, for as long as I keep my limits, something like that. So then move on, fast forward after France, there
Mhm.
is Bangladesh to offer. And my
Yeah.
God, oh la la. So what can you do, Bangladesh? We are going to Bangladesh, my sister-in-law. You are going to Bangladesh. Oh my God, are you not scared? What is there in Bangladesh? People just talk without really
Yeah.
knowing what is it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we went, take a look, check the school. The children saw it and they love it.
Mhm.
So okay, I told my husband, the school is finishing in June. We'll finish the school and we'll
Mhm.
join you in September.
Yeah.
So we were in Bangladesh in 2001.
Mhm.
The children were schooled in and the French International School.
Mhm.
And then we got our apartment just beside next to the European Union office where my husband can walk 5 minutes. So
Yeah.
it was a blessing for me because some of my friends, their husband has to drive 45 minutes and cannot be with them at lunchtime. So
Yeah.
Stefan was with me at lunchtime. So it was nice. And the school was 4 minutes drive. So
Yes.
it was perfect for the children.
Mhm.
And 1 year after, and after I finished training my maid
Yeah.
to cook, to the routines of the house, I taught her how to do the planning, the meal planning for a week. We have
Mhm.
a notebook. It took me a year to train them. Then I started to apply for work, and I got my first job.
Mhm.
First application, I got my first job. It was an announcement for a secretary, and I
Mhm.
applied for a secretary in the French school.
Yeah.
And the president of the school saw my CV,
Mhm.
and she called me and she said, the secretary is not fit for you. You have to be the administrator of the school.
Mhm.
So it was a blessing in disguise, actually.
Yeah.
So they replaced the administrator and they put me as the administratrix of the school.
Mhm.
So I have my 1 month training and then I took over and I stayed there for 4 years
Mhm.
as the administrator of the French International School in Dhaka.
Yeah.
So I improved my French language. I studied an advanced language. So I was there again working with Europeans, with Indian peoples, with Bangladeshi.
Mhm.
So I have 35 colleagues. So you are exposed in this different cross
Culture.
cultural
Yeah.
environment,
Yeah.
and the children the same. The kids were there for 4 years, and then with different classmates from Canada, from the US, from France, from all over the world.
Yeah.
And so they are exposed in this one. So they have developed flexibility,
Yeah.
my children. So in the beginning, I was expecting something, but Alex will come home, mommy, pulling my dress like this. Mommy, I met this boy. He is from another country. Or my daughter is more quiet. Alex is more like pulling my, telling me, mommy, do you have a huge playground? I can play my football. I can play with my balls in all this. He
Mhm.
has lots of energy. So he was so happy telling me stories. He has a friend from Senegal. He has a friend from this other country, Madagascar, and all that. And the same with Colleen. But Colleen only will respond to me when I talk to her. So if I ask her about her day, then she will gonna tell me about the new friend that she found and all this. So it was nice. It was so I was so happy. The kids like getting to adjust in the new school. So
Yes.
we're 4 years went by smoothly. Colleen decided to go to Paris for
Mhm.
her higher high school
Mhm.
because the school has a different for school. It's in
Yeah.
by correspondence.
Okay.
They were using NED. I don't know if you heard about that. It's a school for high school NED. They have to do it. It's not online, but they have to go by correspondence.
Okay.
And then
So.
Alex has to move to the American school because now the sister is in Paris, so he is alone.
Mhm.
So my first empty nester without my daughter with us. So it was a huge adjustment again. So
Yes.
anyway, when my daughter left, it was a year that I have to digest. And my daughter said, Mommy, are you scared that I'm going? Are you afraid? I did not even get the chance to answer yet.
Yeah.
And she said, because if you are scared, then you don't trust the foundation you gave me. And I was like, boomerang, like that. And I
Yeah.
said, no, it's not that I'm scared. I'm not scared about you. I'm scared of the new environment that you will be going. You
Yeah.
will be exposed to a new environment. You will be exposed. You speak the language, but there will be new people for you. That's the one I'm scared. It's not you. I
Mhm.
trust, of course, the foundation that I gave you. And then we were hugging and said, okay, we were gonna give it a try. And
Yes.
so it was done. So Colleen was in Paris alone, first with
Mhm.
her grandma, to test the water. And
Yeah.
then 2 years after, she was on her own.
Yeah.
And Alex, this time, since he was alone, he moved to the American International School.
Mhm.
But then the other adjustment to be made is we don't have the same holiday. American school starts in August, French school starts September. So I
Yeah.
said to my son, I will try. If there is a job for me in the American school, I will follow you.
Mhm.
One day, a job opening came and I
Mhm.
applied.
Mhm.
And the HR said, Phoebe, we don't have managerial position for you.
Mhm.
But if you are happy with the administrative assistant work, we will be happy to give it to you.
Yeah.
So I got the job
Yeah.
and I moved to the American school.
Where
I
is
was the
the
admin
American
assistant.
school? Is that in the
The
US?
same in Dhaka. It's
Okay,
also in the
Bangladesh.
Dhaka,
Yes.
still in Bangladesh. Alex moved to the American International
Yes.
School.
Mhm.
And it's just a few minutes. It's just beside the French International School. It's
Okay.
not that far. I
Yeah.
mean, so I got the job and I worked there. So I
Mhm.
was with my son
Yeah.
until he graduated.
Yeah. Okay.
So
That's.
that was it. We stayed
Mhm.
11 years in Bangladesh. We
Mm.
started to learn, we discovered a new passion for us. We played tennis, we joined the tournament. The
Yeah.
kids went to go through baseball games, football, tennis as well. And Colleen indulged in art activities like piano lesson, guitar, self
Yeah.
painting. There are things that we never know that we will indulge ourselves, and we
Mhm.
started. So that's the advantage of the expatriated life as
Yes.
well. So you
Yes.
get to know people, you get to indulge yourself in some activities that you never know you can do, and you get to do when we were there. So 11 years went by so quickly, and
Mhm.
our son went to the university and
Mhm.
the United States in
Yeah.
Boston for 2 years, and
Mhm.
then moved to Florida when he started to know what he really wants. He went to the US without knowing what he really wanted. So
Mhm.
he enrolled in the Bachelor of Arts in Boston. And
Mhm.
I said, okay, that's what the counselor said. Just enroll in the Bachelor of Arts and
Mhm.
then know when we'll see what after 2 years. And then he realized he wants to go to hotel and restaurant management. So he
Yes.
went to Florida for 3 years and he
Mhm.
got it. He graduated there. So
Yeah.
while Alex was in Florida and Colleen was in Paris on the medical school, we moved to Egypt. And
Okay.
we stayed for 6 years. Were subjected in 1 year of chaos when we arrived. There was not a civil war, but there was some local problems, with the president and all that. So I have to leave the country for a bit
Mhm.
just to wait until it stabilizes. So when it stabilizes, I started to enjoy the country, the
Mhm.
history, the
Yeah.
beautiful Egypt, the culture. I visited all the places as was written in the Bible
Mhm.
about Moses,
Wow.
about the well where Jesus hid. When
Yeah.
you remember the story in the Bible about Herod killing the
Yeah.
firstborn, so
Yes.
there was a well. You
Yeah.
know, when Mary has to walk far with Joseph to hide Jesus in the well. So I
Mhm.
went to visit it. I went to Luxor to see where Miriam
Mhm.
left Moses inside a basket
Yeah.
and took the cruise to arrive to the palace, the
Yeah.
Luxor palace,
Yeah.
where Moses was taken by Ramesses. So
Mhm.
I went through
So
all
all of
this
those.
story and
Wow. Yeah.
so it was, and then the hanging church, which is the
Mhm.
Babylon, the Tower of Babylon. So I
Yes.
explore everything in Egypt that I can, in regards to the Bible. It
Yeah.
was a wonderful experience. We have beautiful friends, you in the expatriated groups and in the local groups. So the
Yes.
only constraint that we have there in the beginning was the language barrier. But it was not a barrier because lots of people speak French. I speak French.
Yeah.
Lots of people also speak English. Not very like that. So
Yeah.
I studied Arabic,
Yeah.
the basic one, the primary one, the
Yeah.
grade one. We say it in our
Yeah.
language. So I took just to get by with the people
It's
that
just
surrounds me.
functional
The
around.
gardener. I mean, not the gardener, the guards and all that.
Yeah.
So I took all the initiative to be able, immersion to cultural diversities.
Yeah.
That's I think I mastered that already.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Egypt was almost 6 years with wonderful experience.
Yes.
And now we are in Nepal. We are in the Himalayas.
Wow. Yeah.
The first time we choose, Steph was given 5 choices when
Yes.
we want to move after 6 years.
Yeah.
So we have Myanmar, Vietnam, India, New Delhi, and Nepal.
Mhm.
Nepal was the last choice that we put.
Yeah.
When it was announced that we were going to Nepal, I was crying because I'm scared of the earthquake,
Yeah.
whatever that I read about earlier and all that. But
Mhm.
then Stefan said we will be put in a seismic tested house. So
Mhm.
that's reassured me. And then I love Nepal when I came here as a tourist. So I visited it. I love the Himalayas. So
Yeah.
I know, I mean, the people are so gentle. So that's the only constraint. And Myanmar, which was our first choice,
Mhm.
after it was announced that I'm in Egypt, there was chaos there. The Rohingya refugees, it
Yeah.
was like a civil war in
Mhm.
Myanmar.
Yeah.
And then I said to the Lord, Lord, you are the only one who knows what's best for me. We desire for Myanmar. It was not given to us, even if I prayed for it. It's
Yeah.
because things happen for a reason. The
Yes.
Lord knows what's best for us.
Yes.
So here we are in Himalaya. And then, so after working in the French school for 10 years, I did not work in Egypt.
Yeah.
I was simply doing voluntary works because I was on diplomatic visa. I cannot work. So
Yes.
I was just doing voluntary works there,
Mhm.
attending clubs, joining associations for voluntary works just to earn um, experiences.
Yes.
So
And of
it's
course,
nice. It's
in
really
be
nice.
yeah, in between all these countries that you have settled in and immersed yourself, you always make time to visit your home country, which is the Philippines.
Yes, of course. Every year I go back twice a year because I have my business. I told you. I
Yeah.
left it and I have people managing it, but I manage it a bit online by phone or something like
Yes.
that. So I was managing it from a distance
Mhm.
and still taking care of my children from different continents. Colleen was in France, Alex was in the US, and
Yes.
my husband was in Egypt if I'm in the Philippines. So there will be moments we will be in 4 continents at one moment, at
Wow.
one time.
Yeah.
So if I go back, so now here we are in South Asia.
Mhm.
So, well, both of us are here, so it's okay. But we are in 3 continents right now. Or now we are only in 2 continents. Alex is in Europe already. So
Yes.
it's nicer.
Yeah.
So I guess that's all. And then I was able to travel. So actually, I'm living my dreams.
Yeah.
I've been dreaming of going to these exotic places and knowing eccentric people. So those were my dreams and the books that I read from Barbara Cartland, from
Yeah.
Sidney Sheldon. And then I'm living it. And
Yeah.
I thank the Lord for I'm going through the journey of realizing my dreams by leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
And then I was with ABWCI. So I was also joining of course, the Lions Club, which. So I have lots of voluntary honorary members of a lot of organizations because I love to be active. I
Yeah.
love to make use of my time profitably,
Yeah.
not financially, but to fill it up with experience, with knowledge,
Yeah.
because it makes me feel that I'm growing.
Yeah.
Every opportunity is a growth for me. So I never decline it. If
Yeah.
I can do it within my capacity, I will do it.
Yeah.
That.
Yes. Of all the countries that you have lived in and of all the challenges that you have overcome, what do you think is the major lesson that you have learned and, shall I say, you can share with us?
I think in all these countries that we've been, what is common is open-mindedness, positivity,
Yeah.
and then flexibility, of course, wherever we are, and being humble and kind.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I always maintain. Wherever I am, when I approach people,
Mhm.
I just have to be my real me, the authentic me. And then I'm open minded. I listen to them.
Mhm.
I always take time to listen to
Yeah.
these people.
Yes.
And then, of course, my flexibility. I try to make what is in the country. I
Yeah.
try to make the most of what is in the country. I will not look for opera or movie theater in Chad. I can't find it.
Yeah.
I will not look for a beautiful shopping mall. I can't find it in Chad. I can't find it in the country where we are.
Yeah.
What I'm doing is I'm making the most of what is here. Like here we are in the Himalaya. What is best here?
Yeah.
Go trekking. So I go trekking. I
Very.
go, I adapted to walk. I never walk a lot before. I walk while I walk. I walk not for leisure. I walk because it's mandatory.
Yeah.
I walk from my place to the school, so I walk.
Mhm.
Now I loving walking on the beach, going to the hiking. I do trekking.
Yeah.
What is best here in Nepal or
Yeah.
in Egypt? So I do those things what are available. I try to
Mhm.
make use. I
Good.
don't look for something I cannot find.
Very
That's
good.
the thing I can say. Just just try to make the most of what is in there. I mean, language barrier for people who doesn't speak English will
Mhm.
always be a problem. That's one of my edge, I guess, because I have the universal language, the
Yeah.
English, which can break lots of walls.
Correct.
But for some European friends who speak only French, who speak only
Mhm.
the Belgian language, who speak only German, when they are expatriated, it's a lot of barrier, the language barrier for the
Yeah.
other people. I don't have that.
Yeah.
I don't have this problem. Fitting in is not anymore a problem. I think I mastered the art of integration. Just being myself, smile with everybody,
Mhm.
get to know them and listen to them, respect their beliefs, respect whatever religions they have, and just get to know them on how they live. And, take it as discovering another culture, discovering another person. It's like that. I guess it's all flexibility, open mindedness.
Yes.
Second is, I guess it's a choice.
Mhm.
I choose to go there,
Correct.
so
Yeah.
then I have to be committed. So
Yeah.
those are the three things actually
Yeah.
that is spontaneously and constantly.
Mhm.
You make a choice to go there, so you have to embrace it.
Yeah.
Whatever are the challenges ahead, you embrace it. You are there, so you have to be committed.
Yeah.
That's the three things that I've learned a lot. And of course, go with it goes your positivity and flexibility, adaptability, and
Yeah.
all that. So that makes things easy, and wonderful experience awaits for all the expatriated people.
Yeah.
Don't think of the negativity that you will encounter. Don't
Yes.
think about it. Don't put weights on it. Just take it step by step. You
Yeah.
know, to look for the house, to look for the place for the children, to find a hospital, to find a doctors, to find your bank.
Yeah.
Those are protocols, something that you have to manage to get your visa for all this kind of thing. Those are lots of problems that other people encounter. I
Yeah.
don't have that. I take things step by step. I do it like it's in my journal. Today I have to go this. Today I have to do this. It's a task to be done on a
Yeah.
daily basis.
Yes. That that is what makes you empowered and content because you do not look for things that you do not have, but you appreciate the things that are in front of you, and you immerse yourself, and you feel blessed all the time because of your positivity and your open-mindedness. And inherently, because you are kind, you're able to immerse and, shall I say, interact and integrate yourself with the people with different.
Absolutely.
Yes, that
Yeah.
is great. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us, my dear friend Phoebe. I'm so proud of your experiences and of how you have shared your story with us. If there is one thing that you would like to, shall I say, advise our followers here in Life Expressions, how to find their place in the world, what would that be?
Well, I guess in all these experiences that I have, what I can tell to all the ladies and the girls out there, just be yourself. You do you. It is not your job to be likable, and never go out to be liked by everyone, because that will make you compromise.
Correct.
Life is full, it's like a learning process, it's a never ending learning process, right? So when we go out, when we have to be different, when we, you have to live your life by being alive.
Yeah.
Living is different from being alive. Being alive is living with a highest level of consciousness
Mhm.
and noting your environment.
Mhm.
Living is like sleeping, just sleeping, or doing your routines and like that.
Yeah.
But being alive is different.
Yeah.
You have to be connected with other people. You have to be aware of your surroundings. You have to be conscious, like that. So for me, I guess it's just, when you are living a life like that, you can feel a different experience.
Yeah.
You have to know that, for me, is life is what I make it.
Yeah.
Nobody can live your life except you. Just you. You
Agree.
just have, you know I think that's the simple things I can really share to all the women
Yes.
uh, out there.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story once again. I am so blessed to hear you share it with us here on Life Expressions. Thank you. And for all of you listening out there, I would just like to say that wherever you are, what you do makes a difference. But you've got to decide what kind of difference you want to make. And that's how you do it, or you do it by how you live. Thank you once again, Phoebe David. Yes, I
Thank you for having me here, and that
thank you so much. And once again, don't forget, whatever you do makes a difference, but you've got to decide what kind of difference you make, just like how Phoebe lives. Till next time, here on Life Expressions.